Welcome to the Phenomenal Podcast, an authentic forum where real conversations happen. I'm your host, Phen, and each episode features an unscripted chat with everyday people. Get ready for a genuine, raw discussion. Enjoy the conversation. What's going on, everyone? It's episode 18 of the Phenomenal Podcast. I have my cousin Jon Montague on with us today. He's driving into work, so we're just having a conversation over the phone. No video today. That's cool. It's a podcast. Jon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, dude. So first of all, thanks for inviting me to do this. We used to have a podcast, my wife and I, so it was always something I've enjoyed doing, but to get to do one with you is always cool. Like you said, my name is Jon. I am 35 years old. I am a father of two, Maddox and Monroe. I've been with my wife we've been together almost 20 years and married for almost 10. I'm a fireman. I've been doing that for about 15 years, and my wife and I just moved to a family farm in Ranger, Georgia. And if you've never heard of that, you're like everybody else I tell that to. It's out in the middle of nowhere. But we've got 10 acres out there, and we're just testing the waters with the farm life.
You live a life that I think I want to live, but I don't know if I actually want to live.
Same. I don't know if I want to either.
I didn't know that you and Molly had a podcast before. Had no idea, so that's new news.
Yeah, we did, man. We sprouted one during COVID, and it was kind of fire department centered, and then we kind of got into mental health, with all the nonsense going on. We felt it was appropriate to get into that, and then once lockdown was over, we kind of resumed life as normal and didn't have a whole bunch of free time, so it just kind of fell off. But we've talked about doing it again. We've got a good friend that has a legit studio and cameras and all the expensive bells and whistles, and he's told us that he'd love to have us whenever he wants. So we've talked about it.
That's really cool. I need to find where those are published. I'll give them a listen.
That we're on Spotify and YouTube.
Nice.
It was called A Drink with Monty.
A Drink with Monty. All right,
Yep,
cool.
Yep.
I'm going to find that, and I'll link it in the description of this, because that's really cool. And I've felt it's kind of low-hanging fruit. I mean, you have two kids. You have a job that's now, how long's your commute?
Shoot, now it's an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's a long time in the car. And then all the other things you do, plus your side business. So the podcast probably is not just low-hanging fruit for you, but it's still, even for me, it's still hard to scheduling with people and getting people on. So,
the big thing was content too, right?
Right.
You want to be relevant and you want to have a podcast that's worth listening to. So you kind of have to stay up with the times and the trends, and a lot more goes into it than I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping that I don't necessarily need to do that, because these are just authentic conversations with people. So that stuff should come up as it is. But I guess you guys having a set stuff that you were trying to do, that totally makes sense, and how it's harder to always have something to talk about.
Right.
So how did you get into firefighting? What led you there?
Man, I was a college dropout that had no direction. So growing up, man, I was never the scholastic kind of guy. I was never into school. I was always into sports and skateboarding and girls and all that stuff. When I got into lacrosse in 8th grade, that was just kind of my thing. That's all I ever did. It's all I wanted to do. And my sophomore and junior year, I started getting some looks from some pretty big schools, and thought, well, wow, I guess I might just go to college. So senior year came, I committed to Wesleyan, and it was just way too much, way too fast. I was way too much freedom, not enough maturity, and didn't do too well. So came home from college and was going to join the military. And then my wife's dad actually was a fireman as well, and I reached out to her and was like, hey, I'd love to talk to your dad about it. And that led to us getting back together after being high school flings, and then about 2 years later, I was a fireman.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you've had a pretty successful career as a fireman now, so you know things work out, which is cool.
Yeah, man, it's been the best job I've ever had. It's, you get paid pretty decent to go hang out with your buddies for 24 and 48 hours now, but it's never a dull moment, and you never
Mhm.
go to work when you love what you do. So
Right. Yeah. So you're on your way in right now, and you're going to work two shifts.
yeah, so
Okay.
I work for the city of Roswell Fire, and we just went from a conventional 24-hour on shift to a 48-hour on shift. But following that, we'll have
Mm.
96 hours, 4 days off. Um, we just started
Oh, that's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, man. It's been awesome. It's been great. The 24/48 schedule is just kind of outdated, so old school. They've done a lot of studies on sleep and mental health with that schedule. And in the short amount of time we've been doing this new 48/96 schedule, I can tell you now, it's been awesome for me.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I didn't know people did 48, and I think you just said it's a newer model is the 4896. But
It's pretty big
as
out
you know,
west,
my wife is
California
in that.
and like Washington, and
Okay.
out on the West Coast, it's very popular. But here in the South, it's few and far between that you hear about departments doing that.
Okay. Well, I'm cool to hear. I guess you like it a lot, and I'm cool. Maybe more people will start doing it. Um,
So since
those
we have
those long
adopted it,
shifts are tough.
I think two departments in our area have already started putting it to vote for their members to go to that schedule.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I think it'll
It
catch on.
is your department, your station, like the one that you work at, is the only ones doing it, and other in the Roswell area or are voting, or is all of Roswell had switched?
So I work, in the North Fulton area, and that the North
Okay.
Fulton area is made up of, I think, 6 or 7 different departments: Johns Creek, Sandy Springs,
Hmm.
um, Milton, those kind of departments. So within that, I work for the city of Roswell, and we have 7 stations.
Yeah.
So all 7 stations have gone to this 48/96 schedule.
Oh, that's really cool.
It is, man. It's been great. The kids love it. My
Yeah.
wife loves it. So it's been good, dude.
Yeah, having 4 days at home with your family, it that seems just like so much better than like constantly going back and forth. 2 days is never
Right.
enough. Like the weekend is never enough.
Right. For sure. That's so true, man. And something I would say on the 24/48 schedule, it's like, you get home that morning of your first 24 and you're still in work mode, right? It takes at
Hmm.
least 12 hours for you to kind of decompress, fall back into a regular routine. By that time, it's bedtime. Then you get up and it's
Right.
time to mentally prepare yourself to go back to work. So you're never really getting a full, like, shut your brain off, be present mentally and physically at home on that schedule.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Like how long it takes to decompress. Because all you said that you go and you just hang out with your buddies and stuff, but like I assume your job is can still be pretty stressful, and it takes
For
a little bit
sure.
for you to switch out of that mode.
Even on days that you're not running a bunch of calls or anything, you're still kind of in that like heightened state of alert. You're ready for the big one to pop off, or some kind of firemen are always doing something dumb. So you always got to be mentally prepared to have to solve some kind of problem, whether it's in the station or on an emergency call. Um, so yeah, it's that first 12 hours at home, your body's there, but your mind is not. At least
Yeah,
for me, anyways.
yeah, that makes sense. I heard something about firemen that you guys are some of the biggest conspiracy theorists in the government jobs. Would you agree with that?
100%. I would say that about 70% of the conversations within the firehouse are based on or about a conspiracy theory or something we've heard, or yes, 100%.
That's so funny. I just remember listening to a podcast a long time ago, and they were talking about the different departments of the government, and there's this, and this, and then you get to the firefighters, and one guy's just like, "Yeah, fuck the government." It was just, And it made me laugh so hard that I thought of you because you just like, I was like, I wonder if that's how Jon feels.
Yes, yes, absolutely. One, dude, I hate to call myself a conspiracy theorist. I really do.
Right.
But dang it, I love a good conspiracy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they usually end up
Um,
being correct.
right. I was having this conversation with someone the other day when they were calling me a conspiracy theorist. I said, but okay, you tell me what we have talked about in this interaction that has not been true, or we can look down the road and say that's probably going to be true, right?
Right.
Like, so, I mean, in my defense, most of the things that we hear and talk about, it's like at some point we're going to look back and say, I told you so.
Yeah. I try not to say I told you so. I try to be a humble winner and loser.
See that
Uh,
those don't exist in the firehouse. Those
that's
a
funny.
massive victory of mine is going back to the guys and being like, "Hey, jokers, who was right? Me. Told you."
And
So,
like, are there a lot of differing opinions between y'all?
unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Right? I
Right.
think we're all that like type A,
Adrenaline junkies.
yeah, and we all kind of see it the same way. All kind of like nose to the grindstone, just hard work will fix it, just
Hmm.
go and get our job done kind of guys. I would say that we are all more similar than not. There are some different
Yeah.
people that come in, they don't last very long, but
Right.
uh no, I'm just kidding. But no, man, I think that we're all very similar, kind of same point of view. Um but yeah, we're all pretty similar.
Right. And I think like that's a double-edged sword. I don't think there's anything wrong with, being around like-minded people and finding community like that. But then you get into those echo chambers and you don't get to learn about the world all the time. But as long as you are exploring outside of that, and you have your root, your root base and
Yes, for
exploring other
sure.
things, that's
That's
where.
so true. Some of the some of the best crews I've ever been a part of. Um, there has been so many like massive differences in people. Like I had a guy that ate nothing but seeds and did breathing exercises all day.
Oh.
He was the weirdest guy I've ever met, but I loved working with him. He brought a completely different mindset to the table, and this was probably 10 years ago, and I still
Mhm.
implement some of the things that he would do and talked about. Um, some of the most fun I've had are around the different people. So you're so right in saying that like that echo chamber can be um, not so good, right? Sometimes, but when
Mhm.
you bring in a different group, a diverse group of people, it just spices things up. It makes things more fun.
Yeah, definitely more fun, and it's always good to challenge your ideas, because it helps you. You know, if you're something you believe is flawed, you can change it, or it helps you double down on what you believe. If something's challenged, and you're like, no, I really think that what I believe, what I know, I'm gonna stick to that. So,
Right, right.
um, do your Molly and the kids, they come see you at the station ever?
They used to when we weren't an hour and a half away from each other.
Yeah, sure, right.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Since becoming a company officer, I've always tried to implement that with my crews. Um,
Hmm.
I'm a big believer in family first, and you know, we try and do like this weekend. We had a big crew outing, so my entire crew went down to the Battery. We all got hotel rooms. All the wives came down, and we spent the day and,
Yeah,
and all
cool.
night together hanging out. So we try and do that as much as humanly possible. Um, all my guys have young kids, so everyone's super great with that. So yeah, man, that's huge for me. That's a
Hmm.
must have in my firehouse. Um, so we try and do stuff like that pretty regularly. Get the families involved. Even if it's not in the firehouse, we'll go out and do stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. That's really cool. Um,
Would you guys say that happens in corporate America? Do you guys ever do that in corporate America?
corporate, like my company, he tries to, the CEO tries to put a big emphasis on like we work where we work, and then it's not just us, it is our families that are a part of that as well. And then even further out, it's the communities that we're affecting because of the work that we're doing. And he tries to like, he says it and he tries to implement it. We have different events where every summer we have this like annual, it's the summer solstice, they call it. And the whole, like everyone's whole family can come to it. And we have like, there's food and it's at Fairway Social. So they have like all those bays where you can play golf or soccer or baseball. It's like the virtual things. And there's ping pong tables and stuff. And so like, it's really cool to see everyone's uh, spouses and kids running around and stuff like that. Um, so we do it once a year, and then there's another event where you can bring your spouse, and I wish it were more often, to be honest. Like monthly, we do things as a company, and it's just employees. So I wish it was extended to your significant other more often.
Hmm.
But they do try to at least get everyone involved. And we have also like serve days where we'll do things with like food shelters and stuff like that. And your family is always invited to those. So that's cool.
That is
Um,
cool. Honestly, I was not expecting you to say any of that. I was expecting you to say no. Corporate America is, business is business and personal life is personal life. So that's good. I'm glad y'all do
yeah.
that. That's awesome.
I work for a smaller company, so like it's a little easier. I have worked for larger companies where there was one event every year, and it was just like the company Christmas party, and your one significant other was invited to that, and that was it. Um, but switching to a smaller company has been better, if in my opinion, personally, because it is a little more like, oh, like I know everyone in the company, everyone knows me, and then there's not as many people, so it's easier to incorporate your family into events. So, but yeah, it. But I'm trying to get out, like eventually. I like my job now, but trying to get to a point where I don't have to rely on someone else's dream or goals to make a
Yeah,
living.
we were there too, man. We went through a phase like that also, and we're still there, right? Like we're
Yeah,
still trying to be self-sufficient, hence the move to the farm.
yeah,
Um, Me going back to a scheduled job was more along the lines of I just love my job, right?
yeah,
Um, and I think there's something to be said for people that can truly make a living the entrepreneurial way and just be their provider. I think it's awesome.
yeah. I do too, and I don't think there's anything wrong with working for someone else or like doing what you do. Like you are a public servant, like you work to serve others. Um, and you love what you do, so you don't actually work like you're saying, you know. Uh, but then you get into like me, it's like I work, I have to be on the clock 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever. I have to log a certain amount of hours every week and bill that time to clients that I don't even know and things like that. Uh,
Hmm.
so it makes it a little harder. And while again, if anybody from my work listens to this, I like my job. I like where I work, and it's so much better than other places I've been. But eventually, getting to something even smaller, where I know everyone that I'm working with, and I know the work that I'm actually doing and affecting people's lives, like that entices me so much more. And getting to do it on my own time is really what I'm looking for.
Sure.
So, but the farm, that's cool. That is really recent. Your son's birthday party was up there last month, but we were out of town, so we didn't get to come. But I mean, we want to come check it out. What are you guys doing on the farm?
Man, what aren't we doing on the farm?
Right.
So we, like you, grew up in not I don't want to say the city, right? We weren't in Atlanta, but we
Yeah.
were in very populated areas and very on the go areas. We grew up in Kennesaw, and that everything was arm's length, right? We had Kroger and Publix and Walmart and restaurants and bars, and we had everything right there, which was awesome.
Right.
But we found that with us, we were always on the go, and we could never just be still. It was always, hey, we're going to go to work. What are we going to do tonight? Where are we going to go? Who are we going to hang out with? And
Yeah. Right.
it was cool until my kids, I felt like my kids almost adopted that mindset. Like, we always have to be on the go. I always have to be entertained. I can never just be. And even when that we noticed that moving to my wife's family's farm, it wasn't even on the radar, right? It was
Yeah.
all right. We just need to make a more effort to slow down, and we need to be more diligent with quality time at home. And you know how that is, man. You talk about it, but you're never about it because you've lived
Yeah.
that way forever. Um, we had our kids in private school last year, and if you don't know, you have to work 2 additional jobs to afford that. It was
Yeah.
amazing. The
Yeah.
best decision we've ever made. It was so good. It just was not feasible on a fireman's salary, right? So
Right.
we didn't want to put them back in public school, so we were toying with the idea of homeschool. And it was weird, man. Molly's mom has always said, like, hey, we want you guys up here with us.
Mm-hmm.
The commute, y'all wouldn't even think about it. And I've always been like, no way, Pam, that's not happening. I'm rooted in Kennesaw. We have too much. I would never do that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I was driving home from from pressure washing one day, and it just popped in my head like, man, you know what? That's an opportunity that I'll probably not have. If I don't take it now, I'm going to regret not at least trying it.
Yeah. Right.
And so I got home and I walked in the door, gave Molly a kiss, said hello to the kids, and out of nowhere she was like, I want to say something and I want you to listen to me, and you don't have to respond, just listen. And you know as
Yeah.
well as I do, when a wife hits you with that, you're like, how
Oh
much is it going to
gosh.
cost me? What are we doing?
Right.
So,
Where are we going?
right, exactly. And she said, I wanted to think about moving in with mom and living on the farm. And I was like, you can call it what you want, but for me to have an absolute no mindset towards that for months, I'm probably close to a year, man.
Yeah.
For me to have that thought that day, get home, and her to say that to me, I was like, okay, there's something to this. Like something is pushing us that direction. Um, we sat down with her parents and talked to them, and of course they were like, yes, please, we want you guys up here. Um, and it kind of just snowballed from there, man. We have a beautiful home in downtown Kennesaw. We Within like 2 months we had it rented out,
Mm-hmm.
so we have a rental property now that we're managing.
Yeah.
Um, we moved into the house probably, I mean, like you said, what, a month and a half ago, man. It's just been like, it has been the best thing ever. The only complaint or gripe I have is the commute. Like right now I'm sitting in traffic in Cherokee County, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad about it. I'm not okay with this situation.
Right.
But how spoiled am I that I'm complaining about traffic? Um,
Yeah.
but the farm, man, it's so amazing, dude. Like I walked out this morning and looked at deer in a pasture in my front yard. The cows were moving, the chickens were, doing their thing, man. I look over and
Mm-hmm.
there's pole barns and a beautiful home, and my family's up above me. Like it doesn't get better than that, man. It does not get better
Yeah.
than that. We
Oh.
need to get you and Josie out there. We can set aside some land for y'all.
Yeah. I mean, Josie's all about it, and like, I don't think I would be like. I think I'd be okay with it. I remember you telling me that a long time ago, and my first question was like, "Do you guys have Wi-Fi out there?" And I felt
Right,
stupid
right.
asking.
We
Felt
had to
stupid
get a new
asking it.
modem. We had to. It's dude. It's awesome. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. The
Yeah.
kids are learning to entertain themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's
Maddox and
great.
Monroe can just go outside and ride bikes and
Yeah.
play army, or beat the crap out of each other or whatever. Like
Sure.
um, it's so good, man. I feel like I have time to be in my thoughts, dude, and
Yeah.
like
That's awesome.
we're doing Bible study in the mornings with the kids, and the four of us can wake up and read the Bible together, and they can do their devotionals, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
been just being present, like we talked about a minute ago. Like I feel like there you have no choice but to be present
Yeah.
because there's nothing else going on.
Right. That's really good. And so like those that's actually something I've been trying to do in my life here, still even living like, suburbs of Atlanta. But Josie and I have been trying. I think we've been trying to be diligent. And then I look back at our calendar and see all the things that we've been doing. But like I've been waking up earlier in the morning to make sure that I have time with God, with myself, before she gets up, before the dog really gets moving. And so it's so important. And then putting yourself in an environment like that where it's just easy, it is, it sounds like a dream.
It is, man, and it kind of put thing into perspective. Like, what's really important,
Mm-hmm.
is going out to dinner and spending time with these people that really don't want to spend time with you. Is that like, do you have to go do that? Um,
Yeah.
I just, if you would have told me a year ago, hey, you're going to be living on a farm in Ranger, Georgia, I would have laughed in your face and told you there's no way. But I'm so thankful for this
Right.
opportunity. In the short amount of time that I've been there, man, it's been so eye opening to me what I was focused on and how unimportant it really was. You know, we've heard the saying so
Mm-hmm.
many times, like money, it's cool, but you're not going to get buried with it. You can't take it with you.
Right.
And in 20
Right.
years, when I'm walking Monroe down the aisle, it better be in 20 years. Um, she's not going to look back and think, "Hey, Dad, remember that toy you bought me?" Or "Do you remember uh, whatever? Which, you remember this cool thing you bought me?" No, she's going to remember, "Hey, Dad, remember that awesome vacation we went on, and we got to spend all this time together? Remember the forts we built on the 4 days that you got to be home with us and didn't have to work 3 jobs?" Um, so I'm trying to,
Yeah.
to change my mindset of like money, 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 money to time, quality time, quality time, quality time. And listen, like
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have money. I love money and I want more of it, right? But what I
Mm-hmm.
want more is for my kids to look back and when they're telling their kids about me, like I want them to be like, man, he was there for everything and he was always around and he was so
Yeah.
intentional with his time with us and
Right.
and I want Molly to look back and think like, I had a provider husband, but he was emotionally and physically available for me and he wasn't always gone. And, you
Yeah.
know, I was a provider in more ways than just the financial standpoint.
Absolutely. That's so good. That's beautiful. The other thing I was thinking about with is like your community now. Like you're so even like you just like going to dinner with these people that I don't actually want to hang out with, or they don't actually want to hang out with me. But like there is important community, and you kind of move far away. And that's my biggest fear, I guess. Is like we have a lot of like we have great friends here. Our church they were very involved in. It's great. Moving away from that and moving, I guess your kids, if once I have kids, moving them away from their friends or ability to make more friends. I don't know
Hmm.
how close you are to other people or what it's like, but how are you navigating that?
That's a great point. So about the time that we decided to make the move, we were church shopping, right? We
Right.
had decided that we weren't growing spiritually in our previous church. It was awesome. It laid an amazing foundation for us to grow on, but I think we need a little bit more. So we were looking for a different church about the same time we moved, and we landed at Cross Point City Church in Cartersville.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
that's maybe a 30-minute drive. That was tough for us because we've made lifelong friends at our previous church, and now we just have to be more intentional with making time for them, right?
Right.
Um, and to further what you said about you know quality friends and stuff, man, like coming out here has shown us who our friends really are, right?
Sure.
Were we
Yeah.
hanging out strictly out of convenience with people, or were we true friends that we intentionally wanted to be around? And I think that moving out here has kind of made us shed those convenient friends
Right.
and made us dig deeper into friends we want to be intentional with. um, it was very hard to uproot the kids from school.
Hmm.
My kids, as you know, are super social. They love people. They love to love and be around people. So we have had to be very intentional with keeping them in their sports. They both do jiu-jitsu, and they're very, very involved with that.
Yep.
Um, moving into the new church, initially it was very tough. They did not like it. But now, yesterday, both Maddox and Monroe were super excited to go, and they were saying bye to people when we left and, saying hey
Yeah.
to people when we were walking in. So it's been good, man. It was terrifying at first. It was a massive transition. Like we uprooted them from everything they've known since they've been born
Mm-hmm.
and dumped them in this farm, and we're essentially like, all right, kids, sink or swim, go get it.
Right.
And they've done great. They've
Right.
they've they've done very well, but it's taken a lot of um us being very intentional with that to make sure that they still get that stuff.
Yeah. That's good too. And I think the great thing about kids is like they're so adaptable. It may be hard at first, but eventually
Right.
they forget what happened. Um, I never remember how old they are. I used to remember when we were growing up, you and me, and we'd hang out. And you'd always ask me how old I am, and I used to get upset. I was like, "How do you not know?" No, and now I don't know. You told me you're 35. And I didn't remember that before today, and I don't know how old
You're
your
what?
kids
You
are.
were
So
29?
I will be 29 in October. So
Okay, see, I have a memory, dude. I remember things now.
yeah, there you go.
Do you remember a lot of us growing up?
I remember some things. I remember you had a UNC Tar Heel earring at one point in one of your ears. Uh, I remember hanging out with you when your dad lived in our neighborhood, and we would ride skateboards every once in a while. And then I always remember you wrestling in Nana's house. But that's about it.
I don't remember any of that. Not one of those things do I remember.
Yeah, those are just the random things that I remembered about growing up. But we didn't like hang out a ton.
No,
So
we didn't. I think that, with my parents splitting up and us living where we lived, I didn't get a whole bunch of time with y'all, which sucks. Looking back now, I wish we had more time together, but
yeah,
it is
we're
what it is.
we're trying to be better now. So that's good.
Dude, I love what we've been doing, getting the whole family together and stuff. I think that's been awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty crazy. It's also funny to see like the family and how everyone interacts, and then like Josie and I are just so different. And I don't know if you noticed that, but we noticed how like everyone's so crazy, and then like we're just the reserved kind of people off to the side.
It's fun. Yeah, no, we have noticed that. Um, we definitely have. Um, yeah, our family is just our family, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know any other word to say. We're just freaking weirdos. Like, it's just a bunch of weirdos hanging out.
yeah.
Uh, but I love them. I love it.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
absolutely.
the time we get to spend together. I love, keeping up with you and Josie and your brothers and my dad and your mom, you know. But
It's
everyone is
good.
very different. It's very interesting to see the personalities.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Let's talk jujitsu. It's because are you still doing it with your kids?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
So I started maybe, I don't know, man, like a year ago, year and a half ago, and it's been awesome. I feel like it has filled that competitive void in my life, and it's just so good. It's so good for the mind and body. The community's amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
Getting the kids involved was one of the best things we ever did. They love it. Um, we early on after I had been doing it for a while, the kids would come and watch, and they'd say they wanted to do it, and they did it, and just the sense of confidence they have.
Mm,
Um, they feel like they belong, right? They both have done sports. Monroe's done cheer and softball, and Maddox has done baseball and football, and
Hmm.
This is the first sport that they have done where um, they they want to go. Maddox was talking about it last night. He hurt his toe last Wednesday at his last class and couldn't finish the class and has just been bummed. And all he's talked about is how his toe has to get better because he's got class Monday. And
Oh,
last night he
nice.
was like, "Dude, Dad, my toe feels so much better. I can't wait for tomorrow." Um, they just want to be there, and they
Yeah.
love the kids. The instructors are great. It's so good, man. It's so good. You need to get into it.
I've been thinking about. I mean, it's adding another thing on my plate that I'd have to give something up, and so. But I've been thinking about it, and the more I've been like lifting and working out and stuff like that, finding things that um, pushes me physically is more interesting to me. So, and learning how to, I mean, it's a great self defense form, So,
For sure. Yeah. I think that's where I was too, man. I've always gone to the gym or done some kind of physical activity, and it almost gets boring, right? Like I
yeah,
love the gym. Don't get me wrong. I love lifting heavy things, but
right,
30 minutes in, I'm like, all right, this is really boring.
right,
And then I'm constantly thinking about what I have to do afterwards.
right.
I walk into the academy now, and for an hour, I can tell you, man, I truly shut. If it's not within those walls of that building, it is shut off. I don't think about it.
Uh huh.
It doesn't cross my brain. I am so present in those 60 minutes. It's it is so good for my brain.
Yeah.
So good, man. Um, and I think it is for the kids too. They may not see it like I do, right? Like I think of it as it's 60 minutes of someone trying to choke you to death.
Right.
But they it's 60 minutes of them having an awesome time with their friends. But I think it serves its purpose for each level of maturity. I think I've got Molly convinced into trying it out. I think she's going to try it
Oh,
this week. Um, so I'm pretty excited about that. But it's so good, man. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody. There's 5-year-olds that are just getting started, and then we have guys that are like 70 that are black belts that come in there and train.
yeah. Nice.
Um, it's it's so awesome, man. It's so important to me. Unfortunately, with us living out here, it's
Hmm.
been a lot harder to get there, and I'm still trying to adjust travel times and schedule to accommodate that. But um, yeah, it's you know super important and means a whole lot to me,
Is it like a physical and cardio workout at the same time?
brother. Yes, I wear a whoop
Okay. Yeah.
while I train, and my average heart rate during a class is like 160.
Nice.
And then I spike to 180, 190 when we're doing like live rounds,
Yeah.
and you were sore in places that you go to CrossFit, you're like, man, I'm sore in places I didn't know I had to be sore in. I am
Right.
telling you, dude, like the littlest muscles in your toes, your hands, your wrists, like it's the truth, bro. It is from a workout standpoint, zone 4 and 5 cardio for an hour.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that sounds
Mainly
great.
zone 4, but
Yeah.
it is a freaking workout, man.
It's so funny. I remember when we came over to your house. I think it was in November when we were celebrating Nana and Pop's life, and you were like, "I've never seen you so sore. You like couldn't move. You were
Oh,
just sitting down the whole time." And I was like, "Oh, are you sore?" He's like, "You're like, yeah, got my butt
it,
kicked."
dude, it's humbling, right? Like
Yeah.
uh whether I am or am not, I've always felt like I'm a force to reckon with, right? And
Right.
I have been humbled tremendously.
Because
But to think about this, man, I'm a firm believer in you don't grow in your comfort zone, right?
oh yeah, 100%.
Zero growth comes when you are just complacent and comfortable. And every day you go there, you go to the gym and you train, you're going to be uncomfortable. And you're gonna grow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, dude, but not just performance or physically, but mentally, man.
Right.
I start my day with a 300-pound dude choking me out, like what is going to get worse in that day?
That's
What is what is going to come towards me in the next 8 hours? It's going to be worse than Vic, the South African rugby player, choking me.
uh, that's so true. And I think the cool thing that I have heard about jujitsu, it's not about how big you are, even though like he is bigger than you and everything, but like it is an actual art form almost that if you're smaller, you can figure out how to beat someone who's a bigger size than you, right?
That is so true, man. So, um, all walks of life come in there: skinny, big, tall, short, male, female.
Hmm.
Um, One of the most humbling times for me, and I suck at jujitsu. Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay, okay.
I I am not good, but I feel like I can hold my own, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the most humbling times for me was in front of the kids. They had attended their class. I went to the class, the adult class after there, so they were there watching. And I was choked out by a like 140-pound girl that just
Yeah.
absolutely mauled me. And to look at the disappointment on my kid's face was like, they were like, holy crap, my dad just got beat up by a girl. So really had to up my game from there. They're not allowed to watch me roll anymore. It's been a thing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, call it what you want. I don't know if
I mean,
hilarious is the word I would use,
it's
but
hilarious for me.
right. Well, that's what matters, dude. As long as you get a laugh, that's what I'm here for.
I gotta laugh. Thank you. Oh man.
So yeah, I would recommend it to everybody, man. It's so good.
Do you compete? Because you said you have like a competitive like thing in your life now.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love it. So I competed last year, and have had every intention of competing this year, man. But we've just been up in the air with time,
Hmm.
and I haven't had the time to commit to truly train for that.
Yeah.
Um, and dude, competing, man, it's such a mental thing. I would say that the mental workout
Yeah.
is just as strenuous, if not more, than the act of actually competing against another human. Um,
Hmm.
and my buddies told me that too, man. I've got a good friend that works with me at the fire department. He competes regularly. He was like, dude, mentally you were going to be drained
Yeah.
before your first match. That adrenaline and all that, dude, you were going to be smoked before you even touch a human being.
Right.
Um, but I think about that for my kids and how awesome. Like, it sounds dramatic, right? But the goal is to choke somebody unconscious in jiu-jitsu or break their limb. Like, that is the goal, right?
Right. Right.
And for my 8 and 6-year-old to face that head on, like to walk into that,
Hmm.
like I said, man, I just feel like the mental resiliency and the humble pie they're learning, and
Yeah.
that is just so good for life.
Right.
Um, that's what makes me so excited, man. I'm an old dog, so I can't learn new tricks, but uh, I see for them the benefit, and it's awesome.
That's so cool. And I mean, that's something I feel like I'm missing in my life is a competitive sports or thing like that. And so I've been looking into getting into trying to play like golf tournaments. Not it's not as physical as jujitsu by any means, but it does have that competitive edge to it. And like you were saying, the mental, you know, mentally it is so that from everything I've read and heard about who play tournament golf, it's so mentally draining because you're just always thinking about like your next shot, your next whatever. But I wonder if, like you said, you're so mentally drained before you go into a fight. Would you think that helps you once you actually start like the match? Just not having your brain on?
I mean, maybe, man. I know for me, I I feel like it was almost a hindrance, right? So the way you
Hmm.
compete is, they have the different weight classes and the belts and all this stuff, and they give you a
Yeah.
generic time. So you
Right.
have to be ready in the bullpen to compete by this time. So my first my first match was supposed to be at 10:30. So I'm in the bullpen, dude. I'm like hype myself up. I'm ready to go. Well, then the ref comes up and he's like, "Hey, you've still got 4 more matches ahead of you."
Oh man.
which is an hour. So you're hyped up, you have this massive adrenaline dump, and then you've got to go back to your chair and sit down. And then you get up and do it again. He's like, hey man, you still got 2 more ahead of you, sorry. So
Okay.
I see what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I think you're right. By the time I finally did compete, I was just like, all right, I'm just ready to freaking do this. I don't even care. Like,
Right.
the adrenaline has come and gone. I'm just on sheer willpower and muscle memory at this point. Let's just freaking get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think there was a benefit to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you practice all your forms and everything, and the moves or whatever you're learning for so long. And then if you get into the competition and all you're thinking about is like, okay, I need to think about my technique, like this is how I get somebody into an arm bar or whatever, like you're thinking too much and then you can't execute it. But if you just shut your mind off and let your body do what it knows how to do.
It goes
So,
back to habits. Yeah, that's good. That's true. For sure. I didn't think about it like that.
and I mean, it's a lot harder. It's easier said than done, like, because sometimes, oh, maybe not in such a fast paced sport. But if you're doing something that like is slow and like you have time to think about it and stuff like that, it's really hard to like shut your brain off and just let your body do what it needs to do.
Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned you and golf. I would compare jujitsu to golf in that, like, I've played a little bit of golf and I tried to get into it. But you can suck for 17 holes, right?
Yeah.
But that one hole,
Oh yeah.
that hooks you back in,
Yeah.
and you're in. Like, all right, maybe I'm not terrible at this. And
Right.
jujitsu's the same way, man. I'll go weeks where I just can't get it together. I look like an absolute idiot. And then I have one class where it just everything clicks, everything
Right.
happens in my favor, and I'm like, all right, I'm back in it. Like, this is awesome. But I would say, man, in jujitsu, it's so true, and I've been told this a bunch, man. All you have to do is show up,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get better. All
Right.
you have to do is be present, and you're gonna get better. It may not be at the same pace as everybody else. It may not be,
Mm.
promotion after promotion, man, but you're gonna get better.
Right.
Um, Not just at your jujitsu and not just physically, man, but I don't know, dude. For me, it has been one of the best things for my mental that I have done for myself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's good.
so.
I love that. I think something that what you said. We've been going to the gym. Josie's been coming with me to the gym, and the biggest hurdle that I had to get over, and that I'm seeing her start to like talk about, is like I'm sitting on a bench, and then I look over, and there's a girl there who looks like she's like 100 pounds, and she's lifting more weight than I am,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, okay, like that's really embarrassing. But I have eventually. It took me a long time to get over that, but to stop comparing myself and my progress to other people's, because I know that I am progressing. And so, like what you're saying about just showing up, it's so good. Like, stop looking at what other people are doing. Just show up, because it's going to be better for you in the long run.
Absolutely, man. I think comparison is going to be the demise, of us as people, man. I think that social
Yeah.
media serves its purpose.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but I think that it has gone from a social network to a who can I cut down by making them feel bad about themselves. And that, I don't think everybody goes into it with that intention, right? But we as humans inherently want to compare and be better and want what's best. And
Yeah.
no one posts the bad stuff, right?
Right.
You're not going to post you trying to bench 135 or two, whatever it is, and failing.
Yeah.
You're going to post the max PR or whatever.
Hmm.
I'm not going to post about the 15 times I got submitted by a 130-pound girl. I'm going to post about the belt promotion and
Yeah.
the competition I won, and
Right.
that's what you see.
That's so true. And I'm trying to shift that, actually. Like, I'm trying, like, a mentor of mine, talks about how, like, you look at your life as like a lawn, like a front lawn, and people stick yard signs in their lawn. Like, what do you want the biggest sign in your life to be? And I think my sign that I want is just to say authentic. Like, when people look at me, they just say, hey, like, that guy's authentic. Everything that I do is me. And so I want to try to shift the narrative. It's like I want to post about my, hey, I just tried a new PR and I failed, and like the bar dropped in my chest, and I needed someone to come help me, you know, um, because I'm tired of
Yeah,
comparing myself to people.
I completely agree, man. And it's so easy to relate to, those the outward or exterior things that we're doing, working out, eating right,
Hmm.
whatever. But I think that
Hmm.
it's just as important to do the same thing for the mental aspect of it, man, because no one wants to post the days where they're down in the dumps and don't want to get out of the bed. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to post about how they're, reading 10 pages and, doing David or Andy Frisella's 75 hard and they're succeeding at that. What I loved to see was you doing 75 hard
Hmm.
and on, what was it, day 33?
Yeah.
Whatever day it was,
Yeah. It was 33.
you opened up and you're like, I failed. And, that's just the way it is, man. A lot of people could have not done that and just been like, they're never gonna know.
Yeah.
Let me just lie and let them, think this, man. I think the world itself is missing authenticity. I don't think that we have enough of that because it's so easy to put up a front and
Yeah.
so easy to paint this image of your life being so perfect inside and out, and it's just crap. It's not true.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's funny, like I had conversations with my wife about like I could just like stop doing it and not tell anybody. And she was like, "Yeah, like you could, like and she was like, "That's okay if you want to do that." But at the end of the day, I was like, "No, like you know what, I failed." And part of it was actually I was just tired of it, and that's really the worst part is like I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but now that I've like not done it, I actually am like, oh, my life was actually way better when I was doing those things. But
It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
It's we've done 75 hard twice, um, and the minute I'm not in that routine and I'm not doing it, I'm like, God, why don't I just make that my regular everyday life?
right,
Everything is just so much better.
right. Are you guys still doing the? Are you still on the carnivore diet? Last time I saw you, you were.
Um, so I mean, I full transparency, I ate and drank like an absolute pig this weekend. Um,
Dude, you can
I think
throw back some liquor.
it's a Montague thing, dude. We talk about our families, and I think it's hereditary.
I didn't get that trait.
Well, you're also like 140 pounds.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
So, um, it's funny. Yes, we are still doing it. That is still the way that we intend to eat.
right.
But I'd be lying if I said I was wholeheartedly doing it because no, I was gluttonous this weekend.
Yeah, and like I mean, that's kind of the thought process I have is now. I just thought of some guy in my YouTube comment section told me no one wants to listen to my current dietary preferences, but this is an authentic conversation, so um, it was funny. But like you said, I try to live, and I'm not complete carnivore. I like the animal base. I eat fruits and meats and things like that, and yogurt and dairy. But like if I go out to dinner with people now, or like you spent the weekend at the Battery with your friends, like I wouldn't just like be like, no, I can't have any fun with you guys this weekend. like, uh,
Yes, right.
so
So Molly and I have talked because we try and do everything together, man. Like if
yeah,
one of us is doing a challenge, the other one's going to do it.
yeah,
Um, so forever, man, we would always do these challenges, right? And we would finish the challenge, but then we would come off, and it was like we were crackheads for donuts and pasta and beer and wine. It was like
yeah,
we deprived ourselves for 75 days, and we are going to make up for all that lost time in one weekend.
right.
Like I go from weighing like a good 225, and then I party one weekend, and I'm like 350 the next Monday. It's like so
Yeah,
we have told ourselves like instead of doing these challenges all the time, like let's just find a lifestyle
yeah,
and create good habits and make that the norm, and make the weekends at the Battery a rarity, right? Don't
right.
take that away. if that's what you want to do, you still have to do things, like you still have to treat yourself, and everything's okay in moderation to an
Yeah.
extent, right?
Right. Right.
But I think it just that shift from the norm being drinking every weekend, eating like crap,
Mm-hmm.
making taking that as a treat and making our new norm eating healthy and working out and living a healthy lifestyle, that was a big thing for us. Not making it a challenge, making it the norm.
Right. And that's what in my 33 days, I feel like I did enough to build habits that I saw actual results from. Uh, and that's my exact mindset is like, this is the lifestyle that I want to live because I feel better in every aspect of my life because of it. Uh, and so, and then taking the things in moderation. I'll go out and have a few beers with the boys, every once in a while. Or
See, I got to work on that.
yeah,
I got to work on just a few beers.
I have never been able to drink a lot, and then Josie doesn't drink pretty much at all. So like that's been a big help. Is like that she doesn't drink. So I don't do it as much because I don't have anybody to do it with. So
Well, and that's how we are now. One, dude, it's freaking expensive.
yeah, that's so true.
Like, it is freaking expensive. I set aside cash for when we went out this weekend. I was like, all right, we're not touching the cards. I have cash. This is our allowance.
Yep.
Bro, I blew through that like the first 2 hours.
It's expensive.
Now I'm not bragging, but I when I drink, dude, like I think I can control myself very well, but I can straight throw it back, and
Yeah.
so can Molly.
Yeah.
Um, and being where we're at now, like you said, unless it's just her and I sitting on the front porch, like we don't really have any reason to drink, right? We're not
Right.
drinking socially.
Right.
Um, and to circle back to like the competitive mindset of ours and wanting to be involved in those things, dude. I don't know if it affects your golf game, dude, but if I drink, like there's no way I'm going to do jujitsu the next day. There's just no freaking way.
Yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
affect my golf game as much, but I have started to care about my fitness gains. And so when I'm at the gym, the days after I drink, it's just like I feel like I lost all of my progress the day I worked out and drank and the next day.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Um, so whatever it is, sport, jiu-jitsu, golf,
Yeah.
baseball, football, whatever, like I think having that in your life almost keeps you in check and like holds you accountable, right? Like, yeah, man, I can go have a bunch of beers with the boys, or I can go and get a seltzer or water with lime,
Yeah.
eat a good freaking steak, hang out with the boys for a bit, come home,
Yeah.
get some awesome sleep,
Right.
and wake up and be a present husband, a damn good golfer the next day, like a
Yeah.
good dad.
Right.
That weighs on me, dude. Yesterday I wasn't worth a damn. Like we went to church, we went to the late service at church because we were super hungover.
Yeah.
Uh, went to lunch afterwards, and I sat on the couch with Molly and watched like 8 hours of Game of Thrones, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, dude, I should be like playing with the kids because I
Right.
have to work the next day, and
Right.
the thought of doing anything in motion makes me want to puke all over the place.
Mm.
And I felt bad. Like it's stupid. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Now I don't have kids yet, but that's convicting for me to hear now and think about them in the future. Like so, thanks for sharing.
And they know, man. Like I don't think they go in their rooms and play, and they're like, "Oh, Dad's hungover as hell." I don't think they think that, but
Right.
I think they know. Like, Dad, come play Legos. Nah, bud, I don't want to lay down. Like, I know he's like, all right, man. Like, you're home.
Mm-hmm.
You're not home all the time. Why can't you play with me?
Right. Right.
So, hearing myself say that, I'm like, that really pisses me off. That I'm such a trash bag.
I mean, it's crazy. Not crazy. I actually think that not drinking is becoming more and more popular amongst people our age overall, actually. But like, there's a lot of me that like doesn't know if I I think I will, but like I will not drink 99% of my life because life operates so much better when I'm just clearer all the time without it. So
Yeah, I agree, man. I am a big, like, I don't want to say self-help because I think that term has gotten a really negative
right,
outlook, right? But
right,
like, I I truly want to be the best version of me all the time.
yeah,
I want to be like, I tell Molly this, like, we got to be hard to kill, babe. We got to be hard to kill. And what I mean by that is
hmm,
like mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, like
yeah,
people are going to have to work hard to knock us off our game in every aspect of our life.
right. That's good.
And um that's kind of like our thing we say to each other when we call it our bitch voice. When our bitch voice is winning and it's like, I really don't want to work out, we'll be like, hey, we got to be hard to kill.
Yeah, you sound like David
Um,
Goggins.
I don't think he said it. I think it was another one of those guys that runs around in that circle
Mm.
that said that. But dude, like Goggins and Priscilla and I love all those guys, man. I love what they're about. I love the lifestyle. I wish I was that hardcore. I wish I was that cool, but I'm definitely not.
Uh, I don't know if I wish that for
Um,
myself, but maybe half of it, maybe a
I
quarter.
wish I had the discipline that those guys have. I think
Yeah.
you've heard Jocko's Discipline is Freedom. Have you read that book?
No, I'll look it up.
I have it. I'll bring it to you next time I see you.
Okay.
Um, dude, if you can have a quarter of the discipline that those guys have, you're winning.
Yeah.
So,
Mm, I love it. Oh, is that your take? What's your takeaway? If you had like from our conversation, someone's listening to this. Last thoughts. What would it be?
oh man, there's too many because I can name three right now, dude.
The name them all.
One, we touched on it very early on in regards to us, man. I think that you and I and our family, we need to be way more intentional
Mm,
about being together.
mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, dude, that's all we're gonna have,
Right.
right? Two, be present,
Yeah.
be in the moment, be where you are mentally and physically, and enjoy it. It's to I know we're trying to get off here, but
No, dude,
a
you're
good
good.
friend of mine lost his daughter
Oh, that's terrible.
yesterday, the day before yesterday. And I think about that, like if that was to happen, man, to have I been, if I left, like if something happened to me and I was gone, like have I been the most present husband and dad? Have I done everything I can to be the best for them?
Mm-hmm.
And then do jujitsu.
Number 3, do jujitsu.
Number 3, do jujitsu.
Okay. All right. Those are good. I think points 1 and 2 kind of go together. And I mean, that the thing that I'm working towards and I'm trying to document is life unscheduled. And it's just like, it's not so much of not having a schedule. It's more of being in charge of the schedule, completely in charge of the schedule so that I can make sure that I am present everywhere that I am, because that's my biggest goal. And so I echo that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's good, man. I love what you're doing, dude. I love watching your videos, and I'm fully behind what it is you're doing and what you're chasing, dude. I pray to God that you're successful with it.
Thank you. And maybe one of those, that means that it will have some acreage of land next to y'all in Ranger, Georgia. And I don't even know where that is. So
But you can look it up. It's a small little spot on the map, dude. But y'all need to come up, buddy.
yeah,
Anytime.
we will. We'll get something on the schedule soon. And dude, I just appreciate your time. I hope that I helped kill your commute a little bit.
Yeah, I'm about to pull into the station now, so it's perfect.
That's
It was
perfect.
a great conversation, dude.
Yeah. All right, man. I love you.
I appreciate you. I love you, dude.
Yeah. Have a great 48-hour shift.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow on whatever platform you're listening on and send it to a friend. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. They really help boost my exposure. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and liking every video. It really helps the algorithm. Links to all my and my guest socials, along with music credits, are in the show notes. Thanks so much. Love y'all. Bye.